Alright, this is a special Gump report coming to you, ladies and gentlemen. As Raw is going on, setting up for Clash of the Castle. I was watching it. I was watching most of it, and then during the commercial, I decided, you know what, I'm going to check the websites. Because something was telling me, you know what, I think I better check the websites because something's irking me. I don't know what it was. It was just something was happening. And I checked the websites like I usually do. I saw there was a little information because I do know that Ricochet, this is not part of the Gump report, but I do know a couple of days ago it was reported that Ricochet is not renewing his contract. Now that's supposed to end this summer and he's going. He made the choice that he's done with WWE, which I can understand. They have done nothing with him. And I was going to say sooner or later that he just needs to leave. So he's leaving. But during this Raw, something was telling me, why don't I just check the website, see what's going on. I don't like to do it often because I like to be surprised and stuff. I don't like doing dirt sheets of what's going on in the show. So I go to one of the websites. I don't remember which one it is right now. But when I went to the first site, I saw what I normally saw. But I didn't really see anything that I hadn't seen in the last week or so. Because I do check it maybe once every week or two. So I went to the other website I normally go to, and I saw a plethora of shit. The first one, and I do believe this just came out in 8/46. I don't know if, I'm sure that JD is going to bring this up, or Alex will bring this up by the time that WWE Raw is going to be over. Well, TKO WWE Raw. That Dax Harwood is indefinitely sidelined. Now, if you don't know, it's going to be up on X. It came out around, what was the showing that was on the connection to X? I think it was 8:45 tonight. He left a video talking about what was going on with him. So, around Destiny, he completely screwed up his back in the match that he was in. He got a hematoma, supposedly maybe a nasty bump on his back, like around here, on his back, right here. In his lower back. And he said he's been struggling with it and he told nobody about it. So Cash might have known, but he said he didn't tell anybody. So Cash might have had some hints that he was showing pain. In fact, I noticed that, if you didn't notice, when you look at Dax Harwood, he never wears a belt around his waist. He never did. And all of a sudden, he started wearing a weight belt. So I knew there might have been something funny going on because even though it looked fancy like it was part of his clothes, I thought, he doesn't usually wear that. That's not his style. But he started wearing it. But now he said he had a nasty lump on his lower back and it was getting worse and worse. And he had the match that was last Saturday on Collision. He went to the back. He put ice on his back and he said, I am telling the truth. The hematoma on my back became as big as a football. And he had no choice but finally tell somebody. He went to the doctor. They checked him over. And then he went to Doc Sampson, who is the trainer for AEW, and said, this is what I was suffering from. I just got checked by the doctor when I wasn't here. And he basically took him off the rolls. He's done. He was not happy to do it. And I can understand a guy like him because when it comes to Dax Harwood, I'm kind of like that myself. I'd rather not say how much pain I'm in unless I absolutely have no choice but to. If I'm doing something, and I'll give you the like this, the situation I'm in right now, that I'm permanently disabled because of my left hip, I was working with a hip that basically was impossible to function anymore, but I was still working. And it always hurt a lot, so I wouldn't tell anybody mostly what was going on. They could see how hard I was struggling, but I wouldn't say it was that bad. But I could understand why he did that. He just didn't want to involve anybody. He just wanted to tough it out, which is something I would kind of do. But in this situation, he couldn't do it anymore. And now he is off the rails. He's done. And he and Cash Wheeler are not going to be on TV at all. So they're a pair. If Dash is not there, Cash is not going to be there. So it looks like as long as his lower back is screwed up, he is not going to be on TV. He can't wrestle with a hematoma. He could become crippled one day. The doctor told him he could finally stop wrestling because he would have to be forced to retire. Or in this case, like myself, I walk with a limp. I can't walk normal ever again. at least until I get a certain surgery, and that counts if it can even work. But I understand that he didn't want to make the video. If you check X for Dax Harwood, you will see the video. If you hadn't already seen it, I'm telling you right now, he's out. And he felt like, how can I say this? He felt that things were growing better for FTR, particularly they were on Collision, which kind of felt like they weren't on Collision. He said they were primarily on Collision. Yeah, we saw them a good amount on Collision, but we saw them just as much on Dynamite. So, didn't feel exclusive to Collision. They felt more like they were jumping Dynamite and Collision. That's me. But let's make this clear. Did he make the right choice for himself? Yes, he freaking did. I want to see that man, as I've always said to people, it doesn't matter how much you love your wrestlers, you want to watch them wrestle. I care more about them not dying or becoming so crippled they can't walk. You guys don't think about that. A lot of you guys say, I want to see this guy. Oh, damn it, he's hurt. I want to see him wrestle, or he's off TV. I want to see him wrestle. But you got to remember, these people get hurt. This isn't 100% fake like it used to be. People legitimately get hurt during these wrestling matches. Or they can end up like Cash, or like getting his arm cut open. As you know, Cash, a couple of years ago, got his arm ripped open during a match with Pride and Power. And now Dash, who basically had a huge hematoma on his back that he was struggling with excruciating pain. And now he has no choice but to go out to allow it to get better. Hopefully he doesn't need surgery. He just needs to rest, stay home, and allow this hematoma to go away and allow his body to heal itself. And he said he doesn't know how long that's going to be. It could be months. So let's just hope he'll be all right. And I care more about him being healthy with his wife and kid than I care about him watching him on TV. So think about that. Now, next. TNA news. Oh, you gonna love this. What did I fucking say to you guys? I told you guys to always keep your expectations in check because you never know what the situation could be when it comes to TNA. First, we get knowing now, because it's now been reported, that it's still kind of a rumor, but it has been reported that Scott D'Amore had been paid to stay home until 2025. You can go and check one of the websites yourself, but put it in a nutshell. We all know that he left abruptly. We don't know what exactly happened, other than he tried to buy the company away from Anthem. It was a fair, legitimate offer from a reputable bank, and they turned it down, and he got automatically fired. Done. We don't know what happened. Then, how many months now? Since it happened in February, March, April, May, June, 4 months is passed. And now 3 guys who knew Scott, who worked with Scott, one from marketing, one from basically from production, and one who was in damn creative, are also gone. So the key here is that Scott's gone, and people that were intricate to the workings of his tenure as president, they're gone too. So we now know, if it is rumor, but he hasn't come out openly and said it, but if it is possible, it makes some sense why he just abruptly disappeared, that if the CEO basically said, I'm done with you, you're going to do what I want, and, well, let's say it like this, in a scenario, that the CEO and Scott were together and said, you should not do it like this, we need money to run TNA. That CEO said, no, you're going to cut your budget. And that's coming up in a few minutes when I'm talking about the cutting the budget. And you'll see what I was talking about months ago. But they argue. Scott says we need more money. The CEO said no. So what does Scott do? Knowing full well the CEO has already planned to replace him with, what was the guy's name? Silvana? Or whatever the guy's name. Anthony something. I can't remember his full name. Cenero. I'm botching the guy's last name, but I believe his name was Anthony. He knew easily near a month ahead of time that he was going to get removed. So he went to a company, a reputable business, in other words, a bank, and said, I want to buy this. This is how much money I have in collateral. I need extra money so I can pay for this company. And he offered it to the CEO of Anthem, who said no. and he was done. But maybe due to the fact that he does have a contract with Anthem, that they probably made an agreement that you're getting replaced. That's the end of you, Scott. I'm paying you to stay home until your contract expires. That's my speculation. I'm telling you right now, that's not on the websites if you go check. But this is my speculation, that when he was going to get replaced, he wasn't going to get fired originally. But after he tried to get a good offer, I'm sure the CEO said, you know what, I don't want him even working in the company at all. But he's under ironclad contract. I don't want to have problems with the courts. So I'm going to pay you to stay home. And that's where we're getting this, has been paid to stay home until 2025. I'm sure his contract easily lasts up to 2025. So if it is true, because this is still speculation, that's why he's gone. That would make a lot of sense why he can't talk. Probably due to the fact that part of the agreement to get this money, he has no choice but to stay silent. That would make sense. Now, here's why I talked about the budget. Because the next thing is TNA wants to look for a permanent venue to work in. Because if you go to the websites, it is about cost cutting now. Cost cutting, not giving more money to TNA from Anthem. Cost cutting to TNA. They don't want to travel around anymore. They want to cut costs. They want to save money. When they should be spending it, getting more money so they can do better venues, so they can not only get more interest in the product, but also to get more people to sign to the product, like new writers, new people for production, maybe more talent. No. What are we getting now? They're looking for a permanent venue to do their tapings, and maybe, it doesn't say it will, maybe do live events. What does that sound like? Universal. The same damn thing they did more than a decade ago, they're going right back to it. Everyone speculated that they were going to start doing live events in different places, in different venues. Now they're looking for a permanent venue to save money, to save as much money as possible, because Anthem doesn't want to fork out more cash for them. And here's the final nail in the coffin of what I said. Because everyone's saying, just wait and see. Everything could be better. Well, guess what? Sean Ross Sapp had an interview with Jordan Grace. Now, she also did an interview with Busted Open Radio. And I like that interview more. But if you look generally at what she said in Sean Ross Sapp's video, which happened more than a few days ago, she basically says, in a nutshell, since Scott D'Amore left, the product doesn't feel any different. This is Jordan Grace, who basically just went to end. Well, let's put this in context. Jordan Grace, who was brought in by Scott D'Amore, who worked her ass off, which I kind of wish she hadn't made herself such a heavy bodybuilder. I really do believe she was beautiful the way she was. She was just as strong, just as beautiful, without having to become super cool, cold-cocked like a China. But it doesn't mean that she's not beautiful. I just don't think she had to go that far. She could have gotten herself more toned, more muscular, but not as cut as she did. That's just me. She could have still been more feminine, but still be as tough as nails. But that's just my point of view. But when it came to her, and I take nothing from Jordan, she busted her ass since 14, just like Roxanne Perez. She went through the indies, went through Mexican wrestling, went to Impact Wrestling, busted her ass, got a reputation as being the damn best, got her body in a shape that is very similar to China, which that might have been one of her inspirations. Not saying she wants to emulate China completely. This is for her own self-esteem and her own recognition. She wanted it for herself, which I'll take nothing from her. Any person, they want to make themselves better, whether it's mentally or physically, more power to them. And that's what she did for herself. And in this situation, she got such recognition as the Knockouts champion. She went through the Royal Rumble and got the biggest fucking pop you could see. then was called back after they made their agreements between each other, and at this moment in time, showed up in NXT, blew everybody's mind where they were going nuts, doing all of this, marking out and speculating what she can do with somebody else. Had her match on Sunday, which she did, and did damn good. It was the best match of the night. Unfortunately, it should have been the closing of the match, which I do agree with just Alex. It should have closed the show, but it did not. Trick and Ethan Page did, which had one hell of a hard time following it because there was no surprise ending. And she, no matter what happens, has made freaking history, being the only knockout in existence to go to another promotion like WWE, particularly going to WWE. Not doing it once, not doing it twice. She did it 3 times. Unless they have someone do this every year, this will be the only person in history that has gone from TNA to WWE without really working for them, but getting paid by them. And this is Jordynne Grace, the woman that has such following and recognition now, more than probably TNA, that said the company doesn't feel any different. What did I tell you guys? This is coming from their female champion. That when it comes to TNA, we have a lot of questions. And this is not about the collaboration. It's coming from TKO WWE. As I told you, when it comes to Scott D'Amore. And even though I did see a report of, Eric Bischoff said they need to get on a new network, TV network. I don't see that ever happening. Since Anthem owns TNA, I don't think they're going to want to have them go off of their show, off of their network. They're going to be stuck on their network because they're owned by Anthem. I don't think Anthem's going to let them go off unless they get a really big deal that's going to be more than what they can gain by TNA being on their own network, where they don't have to pay extra royalties to the company itself. It's owned by the Anthem Corporation, so there's never a problem with it. They would have to get a big load of money. And since they do have the Endeavor streaming, that's all they got. Doesn't mean it's big. But the point here is this. What I said months ago. We need to know what's going to happen after Scott goes. Because now they do not have a focus. They don't have a president who is a former wrestler or former promoter or someone who's a former booker that worked with a promoter. We don't know. So he's not telling them to go like this. It's now Gail Kim. It's going to be probably a little bit of Tommy Dreamer and whoever else is left, who's going to be trying to decide what to do, what's going on. And the president going to say, well, I don't care. Do it like this as long as it makes us money. And now, where they want, instead of moving around like TNA should, like AEW and WWE, to travel to different places, to try to be live more and make people have interest in them. One, they want to now have a permanent venue like they've been doing for years. After a certain amount of time, they have the same venue. Two, we now know that there's a good possibility that the CEO of Anthem didn't want to expand like Scott D'Amore wanted, saying, give me more money so I can make TNA bigger. And he probably told him no. That's why he went and got the money from the bank along with his own money. And then when he was told no, he was probably told, you know what? You're getting removed now. You're going to be considered fired, but I'm paying you to stay home and be quiet until next year. And now because he's gone, 3 other people who knew him, who did things in a certain way, are gone because they said they're doing cost cutting. And now, next to them wanting to be in a permanent venue, like I said earlier, your own champion who just went to the biggest company that has been purchased now. WWE is now TKO WWE is now the biggest company on the planet, even now bigger, who's now gone to the company, not once, not twice, not 3 times, and has made huge amounts of waves. Guess what? She said to one of the reporters that does wrestling news, the company doesn't feel any different. It doesn't feel better. It doesn't feel better without Scott. Not saying that it would be better with Scott, but it doesn't feel better than what Scott did. My guess is, and she's not saying it, this was Scott, it's now here. If Scott wanted to go and do live events and continue traveling around, I bet you he was not allowed. Wanted to increase the budget to bring in a Kenny Omega if he wasn't hurt or wasn't part of AEW. No. Will Ospreay? No. CM Punk? No. Maybe the CEO said no to everything, and he said, you got to use your own budget and you better not blow it all because you're not getting any more and I'll get angry if you do. This is my speculation. I say this again. But this is what we just got. 1 news from AEW, 3 news from TNA that may make you worry. If you're not worried now, you should start getting worried because we have no idea where they're going to go with this collab, and worse yet, we don't know how far they're going to go afterward. If you actually believe they're going to go into new heights and they go into a venue where they just stay in the same place and they don't do live events, just recordings, very rarely live events, are you going to care then? It'll piss me off to see that. But this is just me. And I hope you enjoyed this Gump Report special report. Leave a comment below. Leave a like, please. Give me a couple of likes, you guys. Give me more than 1 like. I'm not like I'm going to make money. Guys, I can't make money off of this. This is a passion thing for me. I'm not making no money. But if people want to know the truth from a very old, dumb guy like me, hook them up. Peace.